Hello and welcome to another tutorial on data analysis. Today we are going to talk about Excel. We are going to focus on the 5 hidden tools in Excel that will make your job easier. First, let's talk about number 1, which is my favorite. It's called Flash Fill, okay? Flash Fill is available for your Excel 2013 or later version, okay? Now, Flash Fill automatically fills in value based on pattern it recognizes in your data. For example, in our worksheet, we have employee ID, we have first name, we have last name, and we have a space here for flash fill in Excel. Okay? Now, first thing first, we need to click on the cell, which is our flash fill in Excel. This is the cell. Click on it first. And the next thing now is to create the format which you want the flash fill to create the pattern for. Okay, now the format I want is this. I'm going to work on 2 formats, but let's start with the first one. The first format is Abdul Salami. Now, what this means is I want the flash fill to list out the other names following the templates I lay on ground. So which means I'm expecting Prince Emmanuel to take over, Faith Abdul Kadri to take over, Ngozi Owela to take over, John Henry to take over. So I've already laid the format which I want. This is the pattern. So what I need to do now is to click on my Abdul, which is my cell F5. Now move to data from my menu bar, which is the ribbon, then click on what we call flash fill. Perfect, that is it. You can tell that laying the foundation, that is the pattern flash fill follow and list out all the names out. Okay, we can do it in another way. Now, click on it, then drag it down. Okay, what did you see? We have duplicates of Abdul Salami. Now the next thing is to click on this button, okay, and click on flash fill. That's it. So these are the 2 ways. Okay, now let's do something different. Now let's assume that I need like an abbreviation, and for example, I have A and X. Okay, this is what I want. A and X, which means Abdul Salami, and the next should be Prince Emmanuel, the next should be Faith Abdul Kadri. The same process, select it, like I said, move to your data from your menu bar, click on it, then select flash fill. Perfect, everything comes out. Now, one thing you need to know is this, okay? It's important to know that the result you get is not dynamic. Now, what does this mean? It means when changes are made from the original version, for example, I have Abdul Salami, okay? Now, let's assume I make a change here. I give it Kadri, okay? Adiri. Okay, now let me enter it. So the change made here will not reflect here. So you have to be very careful when you're using flash fill, okay? So it's not dynamic, so that change will not reflect here. So that's one of the shortcomings of this flash fill. And I know many of you will say, but we can use concatenate to do this. Yes, we can, but I think this is more faster. But for my next tutorial, I'll do more on concatenating 2 cells together. Please subscribe and follow me for the next on concatenation of names and strings, okay? So right now, let's execute these ones. You click on your flash fill. Now this is the result. Okay, so like I said again, flash fill will analyze the pattern and fill down the rest of the column accordingly, splitting the names for all your data sets. Okay, let's talk about quick analysis tools. I love this. Okay, what it does is that it provides instant option for analyzing your data, such as formatting, chart, total, table, and sparkling. Okay, now these tools help you quickly apply data analysis techniques without manually navigating through menus, making your workflow more efficient. Yes, that's right. So what you need to do is to select the range of data you want to analyze, click on Quick Analysis button that appears in your bottom right corner of your selection, or you press Ctrl Q. Okay, choose like formatting, that's where you get your data bar, your chart, you get your column chart, your total, you get your sum, your table or sparkling. Okay, for example, let me press Ctrl Q and immediately it highlights the cell of my details, my information, and it launched me a quick dialog box. In this dialog box, I have formatting. What can I do with all this? Click on data bar, you can see it changed the color of my retailers. Click on color, it changed the expenses. Click on icon, as you can see. Now move to your greater than. So this gives you some quick modification or some quick instance you want to apply on your values or your details. Okay, now let's move to chart. Now this is chart. You have what we call your cluster bar. You can see this gives you the sum and expenses by beverage brand. Now we have what we call your cluster chart. You can see this gives you the sum and revenue of your beverage. We have what we call total. Okay, when I click on this total, it gives me the total revenue and it gives me the total units sold. Okay, now we have our table, which gives me the cluster. So you have so much you can do with these hacking tools. Okay, let's talk about cluster. Okay, now click on it. What did you see? Now automatically it takes me to my pivot table analysis and it gives me a breakdown of my beverage brand and sum of expenses. Wonderful, I love this. Okay, so this is one of the powerful tools I like using. Let's talk about Power Query. Okay, now Power Query automates the process of importing, cleaning, and transforming data. Okay, so one thing about Power Query is that it performs transformation like removing duplicate, changing data type, merging data, and filtering rows. Okay, let's give an example now. For example, I need to remove the duplicate from here. All I need to do is to select it. After selecting it, I move to here and I click on what? Remove duplicate. Okay, so now what do I need to do? Remove duplicate. Awesome. So this is one of the tools of Power Query. That is settled. Now let's move to the next one. Let's assume I want to make my region in uppercase or lowercase. All I have to do is to right click on it. When that is done, I can move to transform, then click on uppercase. Did you see that? So that's it. Okay, let's change it to lowercase. Go back there, then click on transform and change to lowercase. Okay, now let's assume that I want to sort my region by north, west, or northeast. All I have to do is to come over here. Okay, now this is it. Sort by ascender, sort by descender. But right now I want to filter it, okay? I want to filter by west or south or northeast. So I have to deselect this. Now select south. Then click on OK. So this will show me the information of south alone. Did you see that? So this will show me details of south alone. Okay, let's go back. Let me click on south and west. Then OK. So this will show me information of south and west. Awesome. Okay, now let me go back and leave all. So I click on what? Select all. Then click on OK. You just see that there's so much you can do with Power Query. Okay, with Power Query, you can merge, you can remove, you can add, you can do so much. Now let's go back here. Okay, now let's work on the beverage brand. Okay, now I want to separate Coca from Cola. Okay, which means I want to remove the delimiter so I can have Coca separate from Cola. So now all I have to do is to go to my transform, and then the next step is to click on split column. Then I click by delimiter. Okay, now what does that word mean? It means what is in between the two words. Okay, so that is the key that will be used to separate them. So now I have select your, okay, so here is going to be by what, so I'm going to use by custom because I'm going to insert what I want. So what do I want from here? None. Okay, so here I have to click on it. This is what I want. I want it to be separated by delimiter, so this hyphen. Now let's click on OK. Now do you see that? So I have beverage brand 1, Coca, then beverage brand 2, Cola. There's so much magic you can perform when it comes to Power Query. So this is nice. So you can do a lot with your Power Query. You can separate, you can remove, in fact, you can add. Okay? So these are the awesome things you can do with your Power Query. Okay, now let's talk about merging the two columns back. Now to do that, I need to do what? I need to select my two column. I need to select this and also select this. Now the next thing is to click on merge column. Merge column. Okay, so merge by what? Okay, here space, merge by space. Okay, then what else? The new column name is optional. I can just give it, let me just give it the full name, beverage brand. Then okay. Awesome. Do you see that? That is it. So you can do so much with your Power Query. So much you can do with your Power Query. So that's how Power Query works. These are some of the things you can do with your Power Query, but believe me, there's so much you can do. In my next video, I'm going to point out some things, some cool, awesome things you can do with your calculation, with your revenue, how you can make some little math magic on Power Query. Please subscribe for more videos. Okay, now let's talk about pattern fill. Okay, now what we use pattern fill for, is to, automate your numbers. Okay, we use it to automate your numbers. Like for example, I have 1 here, so I can drag it down. Okay, I can drag it down so it shows me 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay, for example, let me use my right click to drag it down, 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 and leave it. Okay, now the question is, what do I want to fill? Okay, I want to fill it with series. Now you see that? So it shows my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is faster than just typing it. Now let's go to this. We have our month, date, and year. Now, if I'm to show all the year in accordance, so all I have to do is just to right click, then drag. Okay, now it gives me an options that what exactly do I want to show. So I want the cell to display years. Okay, now I have 2022, so I need 2023, 2024. I need years. Okay, so now all I have to do is to click on fill years. Now, did you see that? So I have 2022, 2000. So this is the fastest way when you have a column and you need to put years of numbers of years. So you don't have to type it one after the other. So this is one of the hacking tools you can use. Okay. Now let's talk about group data. Okay. Now group data, we use group data to work on large spreadsheets, and you need to collapse columns so you can have space to work with some other columns. In summary, we use group data to collapse or hide some columns so we can have access to some others column. Okay, so group data is one of the hacking magic tools in Excel that if you use it right, you can get a kind of cool result. Okay, so now what we need to do right now, we have this database spreadsheet here. And then as you can see, this has already taken up the whole space. Okay, we don't have any other space to work. Like, is so much. So what we need to do right now is to collapse some of this information. So now that is where group data comes in. So the first thing to do is to highlight the columns we want to collapse. So I'm going to highlight from my I column to M, and then click on my data from my ribbon table, then click on group. Okay, so what this does right now, as you can see, it collapses the column. So now the column is no longer here, but if you want to check it out, you have to click on this button and it expands it again. So group data is a very cool tool you can use as much as you want. And then, okay, you can collapse as much as you want to collapse. Okay, for example, let me collapse from column 0 to R, and then, okay, let's group it. You see that? So I can just collapse this, okay, and collapse this. Now I have enough space to work or to type some other information. So we have this sign here. You can click on it. It enables the information, and you can click on the other one too. It enables the other information too. So lastly, let me collapse towards the end. Let me collapse like my T to my, okay, yep, this is okay. Now let me collapse it. Perfect. So now, as you can see, that's it. So all these files, information, I've already collapsed them, but I have a button on top that can enable and show all the information from each of the columns. So, and there's another button here. We have, when you click on it, what it does is that it shows you all the information you collapse. Okay? So when you click on it, it shows everything at once. But you can collapse it one after the other, one after the other, then one after the other. So collapse is one of those hacking tools you can use when you have a kind of a spreadsheet that contains so much information, and then you need to create space so it can work. So when you are done, you can enable it. So that's how collapse works. Please kindly subscribe, like, and share for more videos. Thank you.